the chapter and the verse after we are finished. So yesterday I was taking our reading, or rather our teaching, from the book of Acts chapter 27. This is the story of Paul when they suffered a shipwreck, when they were on their way to Italy. And I said just days ago, the things they had taken a lot of time to pack, now they were throwing those things in the water. The same things they had taken a lot of time to put in the boat, now they were throwing them into the water. And I said that is number one thing about storms. Sometimes the storms of life, they rearrange your priorities. A few days ago, these people's priorities were the food. Their priority were the clothes they had carried. Those were their priorities. Now a storm has come. Their priority is their life. Wanataka kujiokoa. Now their life is all that matters. And they are feeling like, if we don't throw these things overboard, we are not going to make it to the other side. I'm not speaking this lightly, because I know someone may be hearing, someone watching, who's feeling, I really am in a storm, and I don't know what to do. And remember yesterday I said, sometimes God does not even require you to know how to swim. God just wants you not to give up. Put your head above water. Don't drown. Don't even try. Don't try to save yourself. Just be patient. Allow God to be the one to come and just deliver you. Help is on the way. And so the storms of life, when they come, what do? And I think we're just going to look at 3 points. We had not finished what the storms do in our lives, and I still had like 3 points, and I'm going to try and break them. And I believe someone will be helped by these points that I'm about to share. The first thing, let me say, when the storms of life come, depending on how we receive, depending on how we handle them, our attitude, the storms of life will either bring positive or negative implications. Number one, the thing that the storms of life tampers with, and this I'm sure many people will relate with. Number one, kitu cha kwanza, personal opinion. If you are writing, write that number one, personal opinion, the thing that the storms of life tamper with. Now, remember I've said it can be either negative, positive. It's up to you how you handle it. But this is what I mean, personal opinion. There are things you formed an opinion about, which probably were wrong. The storms of life will correct those opinions. Sometimes you might have an opinion about God. You might have an opinion about Christians, and even say church people are crazy. Church people make a lot of noise. I am telling you, when you have certain personal opinions, the storms of life can help you change such opinions. Let me tell you an example of what I mean. There was a pastor. This guy was a deliverance minister. He used to pray. He used to teach people in the school of prayer. He used to really help a lot of people and work with people. And so there was a young man who came to this servant of God. And this young man wanted to know how to pray. And this young man wanted to be fiery and to do things for God and all that. But he just had a poor perception on prayer. He used to tell this pastor, I really want God to use me. Yes, I really want all that. But I don't like the way Christians pray. There's a place I went and Christians were praying and making funny noises. So this person had a personal opinion about prayer that was not good. And so, because this young man had a personal opinion about prayer, this pastor just told this young man, it's okay. One day when you are ready, I will teach you spiritual warfare. And the young man said, no, he really wasn't into it. And then months passed by, years passed by. Then one day this pastor just saw this young man back in his office. And the young man said, man of God, I want you to teach me how to pray. And the pastor looked at him and he said, yes, now I can see you are ready. And the pastor asked this young man, what happened? And the young man said, I just lost my dad to cancer. He was the closest figure to me. He was my best friend. He was my mentor and everything. And so this young man had lost something dear to him. And now he was ready to learn warfare. I'm not saying somebody has to die for you to learn warfare, but this is what I'm saying. Sometimes the storms that come into our lives, they come because we have very false, very weak personal opinions. We formed opinions on things which are necessarily not true. We formed opinion on things that probably happened once, and now we formed an opinion. You went to church once and somebody hurt you, now you formed an opinion. You got into one relationship, you were hurt, you formed an opinion about women. Oh, all women are like this, all men are like this. The storms of life come to change. Remember, as I've said, number one, they come to change personal opinion. I remember we used to make fun of my nephew. My nephew never used to like to eat tomatoes. Okay, when you cook food, he will look for the tomatoes in the food and remove the tomatoes and put them beside the plate. And we used to tell him, just continue doing that. The moment you'll go to boarding school, you'll be longing for those tomatoes. You won't see them. And he was like, no, I don't like tomatoes in my food. And so he could remove tomatoes. And I know most of you parents raising up children, they do that. They have that habit. You put food for them, they start picking things out. I'm telling you, the time my nephew went to boarding school and he saw the food that is being served there, he was missing those tomatoes he was removing. And after the boarding school, nowadays he does not remove any tomatoes from his food. What is my point? Sometimes we are so picky. We are so picky. We choose things, so I don't want this, I don't want that. Because we have not experienced some storms. Storms come and they really rearrange people's priorities. Things that you thought you could not do without. You realize they were not important after all. How many people has Corona shook? This COVID has shook so many people. How many people have realized, wow, I used to think I have to go out every Friday and drink a beer. I used to think I have to be with my friends every weekend. COVID has just proven to them it doesn't have to be like that. Bars are shut. Clubs are not opening. People are still getting grouchy. We want them open. Some of these things happen. The storms happen to show you whatever you thought was so important. Maybe after all, it's not all that important. Whatever you thought you could not do without. When storms come, let me tell you, there's a friend who's working this job of moving people. And he was saying, okay, they move, when you are moving your house and all that, they move your stuff, okay, that's the job he does. And he was saying in this COVID season, he has shifted a lot of people from high-end places to lower places. Just imagine how many people right now have been rearranged. You know, he was saying people are moving. People are being moved, being shifted from Runda. You're being brought back to wherever, Mombasa Road. People are moving from Westlands. You're coming back to Eastlands. Because now employment was terminated, businesses were shut, and the person was saying people are moving in bulk. A lot of people are moving from the leafy suburbs. They are coming back to places they had already overcome. There is nothing as painful as that. Going back to a class, you had already, you know, it's like going back to class 1 and you're in class 8. You're wondering, you know, when you go back to kindergarten and you're an adult right now, you can't even sit in the seats because you know you are big. You have a big buttocks. When you try to sit in the chair, you don't even fit. The children are laughing at you. When you wake up with the seat because you are big and you are going back to kindergarten. It is embarrassing. You remember the story of, we had a Kenyan man, a very old man, I'm trying to remember his name, he was trending on the news. Some of you remember him, yeah? Because he was a very old man with white hair, and then he went back to primary school. How many of you remember that story of that man? He was old, and you see, every time he was walking, the kids were laughing, they were making fun of him, they were seeing him as their grandfather. The man was old, and he was saying he's going back because he just wants to know how to read English so that he can read his Bible. Imagine going back to primary school when you're 80 years old, and you're going back to do KCPE. What is your age? 84. By the time you do KCP and join Form 1 and do 4 years and do KCSE, you'll be 88. You are 90 years old by the time you are doing something that should have been done when you are 18 years old. The storms of life sometimes can return you to a place that you thought you had overcome. And if you're not careful, you can feel discouraged and you can feel like giving up, because there are people who are to move back in with their parents. That is so heartbreaking. There are people right now probably who are watching. You've had to go back home. And you know that is bad, because there's a way. Like personally, I live alone. I can't imagine going back to my parents' place. I wouldn't have the privacy I'm used to. I'm used to having my own privacy. I'm used to coming back in the house whatever time I want. And when I'm in the house, sometimes I shut off the TV and the phone and I just meditate. Now I'm imagining a house that is full of people making noise for me. You know, it is hard. There's a way you manage your own house. Now imagine you are a married man, you have to relocate back to the village, with your family, it is just discouraging. And you wonder what is happening. The storms of life, they come to change our personal opinion. Which personal opinion are you holding that needs to be rearranged today? Because there are people who are having the personal opinion, oh, I served God so faithfully, he did not do whatever I asked him to do. So you formed an opinion about God. You formed an opinion that God is a user. God just uses people and dumps them. I've met a lot of bitter men of God, a lot of bitter Christians. And let me tell you a sad statistics that broke my heart. I saw statistics that every month, not every year, every month, you can imagine, like right now we're in the month of September. Now this month alone, every month, 1,700 pastors give up. And they stop ministry and they quit completely. 1,700 pastors quit every month. That is something we need to ponder about. When you see a man, a woman of God still going on, please pray for them, encourage them, salute them. I'm telling you, it is not easy. Spiritual work is the only work that people think is easy because they don't see you lifting anything physically. What people don't know is spiritual stuff is heavier than the physical. Somebody who is praying and carrying the burden of Kenya in prayer is doing a bigger work than somebody who is literally lifting tables and chairs. Because physical work, you will get tired, you will go and sleep, and you're fresh, it is gone. But emotional work, you know, you carry people's pain. You carry people's curses. You carry people's blessings. When people talk bad about you, you carry all that. And so that's why when it is overwhelming, most of them commit suicide. You'll hardly hear a fundi commit suicide. You'll hardly hear a fundi say, hey, I have carried too many tables, I will commit suicide. No. Because physical work is easy. You will just go and rest. Spiritual work, not the same. You go and rest, those things haunt you in your dreams. Some pastors, their children are wayward. Because after removing demons from people's children, those demons jump to their own children. After you've stood with so many people, now you have the same battles. And people don't even appreciate. That's why the Bible sometimes says, do not be quick, do not be hasty in the laying on of hands. Because some people, you lay your hands on them, you transfer. You pray for somebody's daughter who was always rebellious, going out, taking alcohol. After 1 week, your own daughter begins the same behavior. Because now the demons you rebuked, you know they need somewhere to go. Because it is in the word of God. In Matthew, it says when a demon comes out of a person, when the spirits leave, they go around looking for an empty space. And they come back. When they find the place they had been removed from, if the place is still unoccupied, the Bible says they come back and they come back with 7 worse demons than the ones that were removed. So they are told, come out, and they come out. And they say, let us go and look if there's space in the pastor's house. And so the demons you removed at church, you come back and you meet them back in your house. And people wonder, why are you helping people's children and you can't help your own? Let me say this story and then we shall take a short break. There's a famous televangelist preacher in the US. And maybe some of you saw his story when he was saying it. He was saying his daughter, he's a very famous bishop, his daughter got pregnant at 13 years. And this bishop was saying, when the daughter got pregnant at 13, that thing broke him at first. He was really confused. He was angry. You know, so many mixed emotions. Yes, you're supposed to be happy. You're going to be a grandfather. But he was saying he started hearing the people's voices in his head. People saying, oh, you are a bishop and you can't even manage your own children. He was saying he just imagined the criticism. You know, this is a famous, he's one of the, I don't know even if it's most famous preacher in the US. He was saying he was wondering how that will feature in his CV. People would wonder, you have one of the largest, one of the biggest ministries in the US. You could not even contain your daughter. And this bishop was saying that thing broke him. Because he was wondering, God, I'm busy helping other people's daughters. Couldn't you spare mine? I'm telling you, the storms of life, sometimes they come and they totally shake our personal opinion. The opinions that you hold. When I sit with someone and I talk with them 5 minutes, I can always tell the level of storm they have experienced by how reckless their talk is. Somebody who has not been in so many storms, let me tell you, if you are taking any notes, this is one of the things I don't want you to forget. If you are memorizing something, remember this. Anyone who has not experienced life in a deep way, anyone who has not been in storms, anyone who has not been in wilderness, let me tell you, such people usually have very shallow personal opinions. And they are very judgmental. Did you hear me? Whenever you meet someone who's very judgmental, don't be angry at them. They are very shallow with the experiences. I'll prove it with the word. People who wanted the woman, you remember the woman caught in the act of adultery? The people who wanted her stoned, some of them were the same people who sleep with other people's wives. But Jesus, because he had wilderness experience, because he was broken, he was the least judgmental. Jesus asked them, if there's anyone here without sin, let him be the first one to throw the stone. And they all quiet. And everyone started putting down their stones and walking away. One characteristic of someone who's been through a lot in life, they are very slow to judge. They don't judge easily. When you meet somebody who judges you so easily, just understand them. They have not been broken. A broken vessel will understand that even for me, as Pastor Kelvin, it is not by might nor by power. It is by the Spirit of God, and it is by the grace and the mercies of God. But when you have an entitled mentality, when you have an entitlement, you think we are here because we are good. When you have such kind of a mentality, I'm telling you, very soon we will look for you and we will not find you. So I want us to take a short break and then we'll be right back. We will look at the second point. Remember, I've told you the first point we have looked at, personal opinion. So what is the second thing that is going to be broken? Stay tuned. God bless you. See you on the other side of the break.
Praise the Lord, my viewers.
And that he did. Na akafanya hivyo.
Join Apostle Bernard Muchina on your number one Christian channel, Jtv.
Ama wewe utasema, it is still early.
Abide in the Word.
Now they take the report back.
Every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Yes, so welcome back. I was saying the first point, and now I want us to look at the second point. The second point, that what does the storms of life do? The second point is strongholds, lies, okay? I explained what strongholds are. Strongholds are lies which have come over time because of a certain way of thinking, because of a pattern. You know, there's a way we think, and we can call it a stronghold because it is holding our opinion about something. It is how we believe that thing. And that's why the Bible says, for the weapons that we've been given, they are not carnal, but they are mighty for the pulling down of strongholds. And people just imagine strongholds to be some demon seated somewhere. Stronghold, it is a thought. Okay? Just take the word literally. Stronghold. It is a thought that has held your mind so strongly. So it is called a stronghold. Have you ever seen people who have certain strongholds and you just sympathize with them? You ask them, why don't you drink this drink? They tell you, no, that thing is A, B, C, D. And you know, for you, you know very well that what they are saying is not true. But when you look at how this person is convinced, now that is a stronghold. It is a thought that has held them so strongly, yet it is a lie. But they believe. You ask them, why are you not married? Marriage does not work. And for them, they are totally convinced. I'm telling you, until you ask them, where did you hear that from? Which evidence? And they tell you, don't argue with me. I know it and I know it. And you just feel sorry for the person. I told you the story of a young man who was always rapping, okay? He was an artist. He was always rapping about violence, you know, singing in his lyrics. He was always saying the world is a vicious place. People are just shooting each other. It is about sex, drugs, money. And there's another preacher who came to this young rapper and he asked him, why do you always talk about these things? You're always so negative in your song. Always talking about people dying. Always rapping about women, say all that. And the rapper, this young rapper, he told this preacher, well, it's not me, I'm just rapping how the world is. That is how the world is. And you know what this preacher told the young man? The preacher told this young rapper, that is not how the world is. That is how your world is. Don't generalize for the rest of us. If in your world people kill each other, in my world people don't kill each other. And this preacher was trying to tell this young man, next time I'm inviting you to my neighborhood. Because you know, this man, this black rapper was just raised in the projects, you know, and in the projects in the US, life, for you to make it up to 18 without ever going to prison is a miracle. For you to make it up to 18 without being shot is a miracle. And so that is the life he had seen in the projects, growing up, you know, in those dangerous estates and suburbs in the US. And this preacher told him, I want to invite you to my neighborhood so that you can see in my neighborhood, people don't shoot each other. People actually live together as a community. I want you to come to my village and see how people welcome visitors. And so when this young rapper went to visit this pastor in a totally different neighborhood, he was so shocked. People are just jogging with chihuahuas outside. People are basking in the sun. And that's why I'm asking you, could it be that you have a stronghold? Something that is lying to you, but it has held you so strongly like this young rapper, who believes that the entire world is shooting each other. Ladies and gentlemen, when your world is broken, don't think everyone else is broken. It is just the same way people usually say, when you are broke, don't say Kenya has no money, or don't say there is no money right now in the world. Say you are the one who doesn't have money. Because the moment you're commenting that there is no money, somebody has just ordered a Bentley right now. His Bentley is being shipped. Somebody has just bought a car worth 45 million. When you are busy opening your mouth saying there's no money. No, money is not there for you, not for everyone. So know how to distinguish. Don't just say the world is broken. Broken for who? Maybe it is broken for you, not broken for everyone. So strongholds are very deceiving things because they hold you, and yet you believe like this young man. That is just how the world is. And so storms have to come. They have to come and shake you and bring you out of your cocoon where you think everything is just the way you see it. Things are different out here. If you had walked a bit, if you had gone and gotten exposed a bit, you'd realize they are happy people. They are people who love one another. They are people who are thriving in families. But if all you are seeing is broken family, that will form a stronghold in your head. You will believe that that is just how the world is. And anyone who tries to tell you contrary, you will not believe them. So, I hope strongholds are being broken, because the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but they are mighty for the pulling down of strongholds. Now, there's a time I was talking with someone, okay? This person was addicted, strongly addicted to alcohol. And I was telling the person, you know, you formed a stronghold, first of all. This person believes that they cannot function without alcohol. So it becomes very difficult to change the hardware. What do I mean? When you are trying to change the hardware, before dealing with the software, you are doing a zero work. If your computer has a virus and you are trying to deal with the hardware, you are opening up the body of the computer. There's nothing you're doing. The problem is not on the body. If your computer has a virus, the problem is with the software. You need to handle the software, not the hardware. The hardware could be working perfectly. When you plug it in the socket, the power supply is coming in so well. But on your screen, there's a virus. That is how many people are. And so I was telling this person, your problem is not the hardware. Don't say your body wants alcohol. Your body does not need alcohol. If our body needed alcohol to survive, I would be dead. Because I'm not taking alcohol. So then I would be dead. So our bodies don't need alcohol to survive. Hardware is okay. So the problem then is software. The software has been made to believe, I must have alcohol. I must take a puff. They tell you, Kevin, you don't understand. I have to take heroin. No, that is a stronghold you are allowing. And as long as you keep allowing that stronghold to take root, it becomes very hard for anyone to help you. Today, can you start changing the stronghold? Can you start changing the thing that you believe? Because if you believe you cannot operate without a certain thing, that will be the gospel truth according to you. You will believe that you can't function without a cigarette. That will be the truth according to you. But if we can change the hardware and the software at the same time, we will be so great. The problem is we have so many programs which are focused on just changing the hardware. There was a time I saw on the news, our government was trying to fight Chang'aa. Every time you'll see a chief with a few officers, they have gone and they have burst into a certain Chang'aa den and they are pouring the liquor on the ground. And I always say, okay, you've dealt with the hardware. These people will just manufacture another Chang'aa. Because the problem is not that the Chang'aa has been poured. Now they will say, hey, now we cannot take Chang'aa. Now we have changed. You've dealt with the hardware. When you arrest teenagers who are usually found in houses, having house parties and taking alcohol, young boys and girls as young as 12 years old, nowadays they are being found in houses, having house parties and having alcohol. And police are usually called in, and these people are taken to the police station and they are whipped. And I say, God help us. And I always pray God to help me, to furnish me with all these tools in due time. Because by God's grace, I want to start a program that I believe will be addressing software. Because every time I'm watching news and I'm seeing how our government is trying to handle our youths, they are handling the hardware. You can arrest these people as much as you want. You can cane them, whip them until their buttocks become red. I'm telling you, you are not changing anything. The moment that wound heals, they'll be looking for the next party to do a house party. You don't whip a demon. You don't cane a demon. You don't slap a demon. You cast it out. And so we are dealing with the hardware. But have we dealt with the software? Because that is where our real problem is. The real problem is what our youth have believed. The real problem is what our leaders have believed. And so God is sending so many storms, but we are not getting the message that God is trying to deal with the software. So number 2, I had said strongholds. Number 1, remember I had said personal opinion. Now let me look at number 3, because time might go, I may not even finish this till today. Number 3, theory. Theory. You know we have something called theory, then you have the practicals, right? For those who are in high school, you remember there was an exam for theory, then there was an exam for practicals. Practicals used to be done in the lab. Now, a lot of people are theory Christians. They know, ask them. Hey, I'm telling you, they are professional advice givers. They're always giving people advice. If you want to be happy in life, do ABCD. You meet them, they are the most miserable people on earth. Why are we having so many theory Christians? People who have theory. They know how to be happy. They can give you 7 steps to being happy. But when you meet with them, they are sad. Why do we have a lot of theory? We have a lot of theory because many people fear storms. Many people fear storms. There's a friend of mine, probably I'll host her here one of the days. She's a pastor who preaches in the streets of Nairobi. Some of you have met her. A very pretty, beautiful lady, but she preaches in the streets of Nairobi. In fact, people sometimes just stand and stare, not because of her message, but because they're wondering, such a beautiful girl, what are you doing in the streets of Nairobi preaching? You should go and get married to a man, you are pretty and all that. So she was telling me how so many people come to her, especially young ladies, and they tell her, wow, you've inspired me. The way you preach in the streets and you're not afraid of people's opinions, wow. And she was telling me how so many people usually tell her, hey, I want to join you. Hey, I want to do this with you. Then when she tells them, okay, come tomorrow, then we do this thing. The people, the person is like, oh, what did you say? Come tomorrow. No. Hey, my mom will not allow, my dad. So she started realizing so many people are theory Christian. They just like to talk. But when you tell them now to do the action, they begin excuses. Oh, Kelvin, I like what you guys are doing. You tell them, okay, come, let's do it together. They're like, you just go ahead. You continue doing what you are doing, but I just want you to know we are together in prayers. And I'm together with you people in spirit. What do you mean you're together with us in spirit? And when I'm praying here, I bind and I cast spirits. I will bind your spirit also. Because your spirit is hovering here. Why? Because you've told me we are not going to be together in body, but I will be with you guys in spirit. Who told you we need your spirit here? Here we are casting spirits and binding them. No wonder some Christians are bound. Because they're always sending their spirits to church. And they're in the house watching television. And back at church, pastor is busy binding spirits. Your spirit is also going to be bound. Because you sent it and you remained sleeping in the blanket. Oh, brethren, pray for me. I will not be with you. I'll be with you in spirit. Now you become a spirit. And you are still living. Spirit is when you leave this earth. When your body dies and you go to the ground, your spirit lives. Your soul goes to be with the Lord. Why are you killing yourself before time? Why are you sending your spirit and you're a body? Wait to die first. Then let your spirit start moving. But when you're still alive, that's why when people go to church, the pastor says, everybody stand up. Everybody. Body. Have you heard the pastor saying, every spirit stand up? Every spirit, clap your hand. Wow, wow, every spirit. Now why are you sending your spirit? We need bodies. Everybody stand up. Everybody clap your hand. Bodies, bodies. We don't sing with spirits in church. So, theory Christians who are always sending their spirits, stop it. Theory Christians, I don't like working with theory Christians. And I will give you a leakage today. If you are a businessman, if you are planning to open a business, if you are planning to run any organization, never work with people who have never been through the storm. Never work with the people who don't have scars. They will disappoint you, I'm telling you. People who don't have scars, people who don't have personal stories, they are always theory Christians. They are together with you by word of mouth. Hey, let's do this. Tell them tomorrow we meet here at 6. I'm telling you, they will come at 9 a.m. and they will come with so many excuses. Oh, I didn't hear my alarm. I'm sorry. I think tomorrow I'll be early. Full of excuses. Why? These are theory people. They have not been broken enough. They don't know what it is to sacrifice. They don't know what it is to be consistent. And so I'm giving you a leakage. If you aren't successful, a business partner, check somebody who has a broken history, somebody who's broken, somebody who has a record of scars. Jesus himself came back with a scar, so that when Thomas was doubting, Jesus did not open the Bible. I want you to get that revelation. When Thomas doubted, Jesus did not say, because you have doubted, let us open Hebrews chapter 11. And what does Hebrews chapter 11 say? Now faith is the evidence of things not seen. Thomas, you have to believe me, even if you have not seen. No, Jesus did not do that. In as much as the Bible says faith is the evidence of things not seen, Jesus did not say, let us open Hebrews 11. You know what Jesus simply did? He simply showed him the scars. Stop hiding your scars. The storms of life bring the scars, and you're supposed to be proud of them, because it is the scars that will always keep you on toes. When you look at your scars like Jesus, you'll always remember, oh, it was worth it. I died for these people, so that none of them will go to hell. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes shall not perish. So that reminded Jesus, oh wow, so it was not in vain after all. Whosoever believes will not perish. Why are you hiding your scars? Why are you afraid of storms? Hold your scars with pride, because that is what will help you to be consistent. When you get a job, you will be consistent because of the scar of finishing university and working and tamarking and not getting a job. Now when you get one, you'll be faithful. You'll not be stealing staplers in the office and newspapers. Some of you go with the newspapers written the name of your company, which have been stamped, the name of your company. You always steal, put in the bag. Your house is full of office glue and office staplers. You are a thief because you didn't go through storms. So the slightest opportunity you get, you steal. Stop it, you thief who's listening. So listen to me. The storms are good. They are not working against us. They are working for us. Don't think every storm comes to kill you. Some storms are necessary. Some storms develop muscles. Without storm, how would you know how to pray? Some Christians, the only reason they are now prayerful is because God brought a storm. There are some mothers who will never have prayed if their husbands had not acted the way they acted. You used to be very comfortable, sleeping even on Sundays. Your husband started acting funny. Look at the way you've now become an intercessor. You are praying like you are praying even for other people who are sleeping. You are praying even for those who have taken a shift. There are those who are used to pray and nowadays they have gone back. Now you are praying even on their behalf. But storms have brought that in you. You never used to know where prayer mountains were. But look at the way, when the storm of sickness hit your house, look at the way you became an intercessor. There's a time I went to pray for someone in the hospital. And when I was at the hospital, my heart really broke. the person was in the ICU, okay? So the person was not even in a state to hear me or respond. It's like they were sleeping and all that. The machines, breathing with the machines and all that. So I just, the family had requested me to go and pray for that person. So when I was at the ICU, on the other bed, I saw a child, a very small child, probably should have been around 5 years. Can you imagine? And that really broke my heart. And you know, I wondered, at 5 years old, this child already is in the ICU. 5 years. And I thought, that is such a tender age for you to start understanding pain. You know, a child at that age should only be understanding playing outside with the friends, right? Going out to school and doing it. But at 5 years old, you're already experiencing the pain of syringes, pipes in your nose. And for a moment, I even lost focus on this person that I was praying for, because this person that I'm going to pray for is an elder. Somebody who's elderly. I'm thinking, wow, okay, maybe this one, God is planning to call this one home because this is somebody who has lived their lives and is old with white hair. But this other person who is in the bed is a 5-year-old. And I saw the parents were just there besides the bed. So I decided, let me go and just encourage the parents, because they really looked discouraged. And the mom was telling me from the day their child got into that ICU, they have never stopped praying. It has brought out the intercessor in her. She became the lion. You know, many of you have a lion buried inside you. Why do you want to wait for problems to bring out that sleeping giant in you? Do you want to wait until your child is in the ICU for you to know what is prayer? I will not wait. I will not wait for any of my family members to be in the ICU for me to pray. I will pray now. And you know the way the systems of the world work. That is also how the spiritual system works. You can never go to a bank and withdraw if you have never deposited money. The bank will laugh at you, and even the manager will be called. And if you keep persisting, you want to withdraw money and you have no money in that account. Some of you don't even have an account with any bank. How will you go to a bank and you want to withdraw? The next thing they'll be calling Madare Mental Hospital. You'll be taken in and you'll be checked if your head is okay. Whether you are under a lot of stress and you need a psychologist. Now, what makes you think it is different in the spiritual world? Some of you want to withdraw prayers. You've never deposited any. Do you know there are days you are so weak, you feel like you cannot even pray? But somehow things work out. Do you know why? Because there was a day you did a deposit, you prayed. So now when you are weak, a prayer can be withdrawn and it will help you. I'm concluding by saying this because there are some who are saying, hey Kelvin, which doctrine is that? Let me explain it, because I always say I back up what I say with scripture. Hezekiah was sentenced to die. He was told, put your house in order. You are going to die. You know what Hezekiah said? I cannot die. I have deposited a lot in my spiritual account. He went and he started withdrawing. He told God, God, wait. You are saying that I will die, eh? Okay, let's look at my account. Look at how many times I have helped people. Look at how many times I did ABCD. Look at the way I prayed. On and on Hezekiah went until the Lord spoke to Isaiah again. And God told Isaiah, go back. Isaiah had not even left the compound. The Spirit of the Lord just told him, go back. Tell Hezekiah, I have added him 15 more years. Friends, if you are not depositing, you will not withdraw. Learn to deposit. Some of the fruits I'm eating right now, they are things I deposited when I was in high school. One day I will give people my story, but I always wait for the timing of God. That's the problem with us spiritual people. We never do things according to our own accord. God has to release me. There are things God has never released me to share. One day when he does, I will share them when the forum is right. But right now I cannot. I might tamper too early. But one day I'll give you some of the testimonies. But I remember in high school, some of the things I'm reaping now, I sowed them in high school. When I was in high school, when people were busy sleeping, I could sneak, go into the field. At night, 1 a.m., I'm in the school field, which is very dangerous because there could be a dangerous wild animal hiding there. I didn't care. And at 1 a.m., I'm sleeping on the grass, praying. And then I go back to the dorm. And by the time people are waking up to go for morning preps, I have only slept around 3 hours. Friends, those days, they never went into waste. They preserved me. There are times I could have been wiped out and died. But when God goes to my spiritual account and he remembers how I used to wake up at 3 a.m. when I was in high school, how I used to pray for the CU, the Christian Union, the programs that I began in that school. Some of the programs are still present up to date. When I was joining our high school, we never had fasting days. I introduced fasting days. I told people we are going to be fasting every Friday. When I was joining our school, we never had anything like Acacia. You can never hear Acacia in a high school. Well, believe it or not, I trusted God and I told God I'm going to introduce Acacia in this school. And we actually got Acacia with a pagan principle. God touched his heart. And I told guys like Esther, I need you to fast for me so that when I go and I approach the king, he will grant me this request. And when I went and I approached the king, he granted me the request. And I told him, sir, I want us to have Acacia in this school. And we were given permission. And the teacher on duty was walking around the school, making sure other people are in the class studying. Other people are in the dorms sleeping. And then when the bell rings, everyone goes to sleep. But they see you guys, we go to the library to hold our Acacia with our public address system there, with our piano, and we sang for the Lord the whole night. And on the Friday, I held Acacia. And I told guys, I feel like we need to pray. Something is going to break. That's the night my mom was involved in an accident, but she didn't die. Because when you're spiritually sensitive, you get warnings early. And the Lord had warned me, the enemy is planning to take away your mom. But if you stand up and pray, Hezekiah, rise up. 15 more years were added. Who knows? Maybe that night she could have died, she could have gone. But years were added unto her. Why? Because I just stood and I said, no, Satan, you're not touching my family. And we prayed the whole night. And I told guys, write the name of your family members, then bring them here on the altar. We are going to pray for them one by one. And we prayed. Kesha, a high school student, I introduced the Kesha and we prayed the entire night. And in the morning I get a report that my mom was involved in an accident. In fact, the accident was so bad that the car was written off. The car looked pretty bad. And yet my mom did not even break a bone. She's okay. She's alive up to date. It is all to the glory of God. Don't give up. Go through the storms of life. Let them do whatever they are supposed to do. Okay? God bless you. We still meet at 11 for the interview, I believe. And tomorrow again, same time, same place. Stay tuned. Get ready for the interview on the Hot Talk. We are supposed to be talking to Kerry Kagiri, the modern day challenges of a church girl. Okay? Church girl is expected to behave like our grandmothers who used to go to the... We are going to have a very interesting topic. So start sending in your questions, call in, do all that, and God will bless you. So we meet tomorrow, but now for 11, stay tuned. But for the devotions, it's tomorrow, okay? Start interacting with me, Kelvin Obonyo, on Facebook, Kelvin Obonyo, Instagram, anywhere. God bless you. We meet again at 11.